Are we live? Yes. I believe we are. Okay, yes, we're live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited that we get to be here with Victoria Fashen, a goth YouTuber from LA, which is one of the most vibrant scenes in the US. And Victoria has taken us through many of her adventures and evolutions over the years. So thank you for taking the time to do this interview today.
Hi, everyone. And yes, I'm so glad. I mean, I've known you for such a long time. And it's an honor to just simply like talk to you and go on this live stream and see and just have a little chit chat. So,
Yes, absolutely. Actually, remember I found your channel, I think like in 2020, and I remember I was like, "Where are you at?" And then when you came back, I was so happy. I was like,
oh,
"Yes."
thank you. Yeah, I just finally decided to just come back. I was so afraid to go back on YouTube because, as you noticed in my previous videos, there were a lot more theatrical. There was a lot more technical technicalities that were much better than they are now. But obviously, it was because it was a two-person channel. Now it's just one person, and I'm slowly but surely trying to learn all the technical aspects of storytelling or lighting and what else and audio. So it's a lot. So and yeah.
That's so real, and I love that you said storytelling too, because I always feel like, oh, that's something I need to work on. Like that's something you can actively improve and get better at, and it's something I know that, I need to work on. So I love that you said that. That's so true, and a lot of us we like love your videos anyway, so
Thank
we're
you.
here for the ride through your growth.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Of course. So, as I said, you shared many of your experiences with us on YouTube. These questions might feel a little redundant for things you've already shared, but for those who might, be being introduced to you for the first time, I can't imagine that. I imagine that if anyone knows my channel, they probably already know your channel. But just in case, I always like to start at the beginning. So, what was your introduction to the goth subculture? Was it the music right away, or was it like some dark alternative, spooky stuff first?
So when okay, hold on. I'm trying to think back. So my dad actually, I I guess this is the evolution. So let me just start from like when it all like really just started. So when I was like young, I think I want to say around 8 or 9, my dad would listen to a lot of K-rock bands, and he also really liked Pink Floyd. And I grew up with listening to Pink Floyd The Wall and even the movie. And I remember how dark it was, and I fell in love with it. But I didn't understand exactly what it really like succumbed to. I also grew up with a lot of 80s music because of him. He was actually like a breakdancer. So yeah, so like he was a breakdancer from the 80s. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and I would like listen to a lot. They would listen. My parents would listen to Cyndi Lauper, Annie Lennox. So I was introduced to new wave by them. And as I started progressively getting older, I grew up with my aunt, and my aunt was actually the one that introduced me to the goth subculture because I would always go sleep over at her house along with my grandmother's apartment. Well, her apartment with my grandmother, and she was into alternative music, but she was also into going to the goth clubs all the time. And I remember that she would take me to Hollywood. Well, and we would go to Hollywood and Melrose, and we would go to like stores like Retail Slut. We would go to like this other one called Rocktown, and all these other stores that are no longer in Hollywood Boulevard that would sell like fetish vinyl corsets and like all the dark alternative fashion that we see today. So she would curate an outfit, and then she would go to the clubs like in Hollywood, and back then it was called the Ruby. And Club Perversion would be there, Clockwork Orange, Blue Mondays, all of that, all those clubs were there, and there was Evil Club Empire who held it. And then I started burning some of her CDs, and I didn't know it was goth those sorry, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, no
so
worries.
so those CDs, they had a lot of goth bands that I didn't know they were goth. And I remember my first compilation CD was Graver's Paradise. And but like I said, I was already like 10 or 12 and I didn't realize it was goth music. I I shifted to getting into punk rock because her boyfriend was very much into like Black Flag, The Addicts, uh, Anti Flag, who else? Subhuman. So he introduced me to that, and I got into punk. But then I never told this story in my channel because because like I it was embarrassing. I it was very embarrassing. So in middle school, I was getting into like more into punk rock music, like the Ramones and the Addicts and all that, like I mentioned. But there was this one girl that called me a poser because I was wearing a tote bag that said it was an anarchy symbol, and she she like called me a poser because I said, "Oh, it's against government," and like I started crying, and I was like 14, and then and then after like 2 3 weeks later, I discovered Bauhaus, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like this like it's almost like heaven's gate opened, and it was like music to my ears.
Oh, okay, awesome. I think I lost internet, so I'm not
Mhm,
sure what anyone else saw out there, but maybe I
mhm.
froze. So I'm so sorry, but I totally missed what you said after the anarchy symbol.
Oh, okay. So let me. I'll reinstate it.
I
But
am so sorry.
no, it's okay. Technical difficulties happen all the time. But so I had a tote bag, and it said it had an anarchy symbol, and this punk rock chick, she came up to me, and she was kind of like bullying me even before then because I was like very introverted anyways, and I always kept to myself even as a young kid. Um, so she came up to me and she's like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "Oh, it's against government." And she said, "Oh, you're a poser." And that like hurt my feelings. I thought it was the end of the world, and like I was like, "No," like, and then 2 3 weeks later, I discovered Ziggy Stardust, the Bauhaus version of it, the Bauhaus cover, and then I discovered Cocktail Twins, and it was like heaven's gate was in my like opened up in my mind. It was like a spiritual awakening, and I was like, you know what, this is what this is me, this is who I really am, this is the music I'm into. And then I went down on a rabbit hole and started discovering more and more bands, and then come to find out some of the CDs I had were actually like goth bands that I enjoyed. Like for example, I really liked one of the burnt CDs that my aunt had. It had Susie and the Banshees. This is Happy House. Um, it also had Dead Can Dance. Um, I always butcher this song. Doctor Oblivious of the Love Grove. I can never say it properly, so I'm sorry about that. But she had that song on a specific mix CD, and then I found out, yeah, it's Dead Can Dance. So yeah, I went on this rabbit hole, and then after that, I was constantly going to amoeba record stores by myself, and I would take the bus just to like find more and more goth bands, and that's how I fell in love with the music. The music was really like it was my safe haven. It was like my calling. It was like it was everything to me, even though I already was pre-introduced to it when I was younger. So yeah.
That is so awesome. I love like just like that whole arc, and then your aunt, and like just like in how you're telling the story, it just like making me feel like when you're a little kid, because you were like, what, you said you were like 9 or 10
When I was like
you
when I was introduced to it,
mhm,
pre-introduced to it, yes, I was
yeah.
like 9 or 10. But when that punk rock chick called me a poser, I was 14. It was like 2004, 2006.
Okay,
So,
yeah, you're still like really young, but even like
mhm.
especially when you were a little kid, I just feel like there's like this mystical feeling when you see like, or at least I think that's an experience a lot of people had when they got into like any kind of dark alternative scene when they were a kid. There's this feeling of like mystical like wonder just like watching other people. So like I can just imagine you being
Absolutely.
around your aunt. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It was like I 2 days ago I was actually like really like sad. I felt
Oh.
really sad because I just feel like that magic, that like sense of awe and wonder that the scene once had, it's not, maybe I'm just getting older, but it's not there anymore. And I'm like, I'm my values are based upon romanticism, like especially like during the romantic period in like the 1800, like 17 and 1800s, and even with like like with the bohemians in the 20th century. That's my core values, and a lot of like goth had those similar values in the subculture, and I'm feeling like that's missing lately. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Do you can you like pinpoint like what it is, like why you feel like that's like missing now? Do you think it's like missing from like the scene or the music, or is there like some other element that's making it feel like it's missing?
Well, um I need to like really like think this thoroughly, but I'm when it comes down to the gothic subculture, to me about it's about the music. That's the core. The core the main thing is the music. But when you think about music, when you create music, it comes from the soul. It comes from like art, and it music is a form of art. And I believe like there's lack of soul in the scene nowadays. And I could be wrong. I people can disagree with me. Um, but I really do feel that way because for example, I know this is an unpopular opinion. I like Twin Tribes. I do. I think that I'm very proud of them because especially they're like Latinos like really rising up to like being part of the subculture. However, they aren't my I'm not crazy about them because they just sound like a copy of a copy of a copy of the 80s. And like and and whereas like Lebanon, Hanover, I could see like they're a little bit more original, but again, I just feel like there's a lack of soul into the subculture because everything is so um like recycled, like the materials recycled. And of course we think of back in the days how it used to be. So I think there's like an issue, there's like something going on, and I hope that changes, to be honest with you. um so yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. That's really interesting because well, one, like on one aspect, so for Twin Tribes, their latest album, I actually love it so much. Like I'm obsessed with their new album. Like I
Mhm,
can't stop listening to it on loop. So for me, that particular album hooked me. But like everybody's taste is different.
mhm.
So it's just like really interesting. Like maybe it's just like what's being put out right now isn't like speaking to your soul, and hopefully there'll be like more music that will come out, soon, that will like hook you in that way as well.
Again, I could be biased because I Jasmine, are you there? Jasmine?
I Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Oh my
It
gosh.
froze.
Of course my internet decides to start acting a complete fool right now. But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'm a fan of deathcore, and while I love that genre, like sometimes it's like, okay, there's certain bands that like stick out to me and hook me, but then there's other bands that just like you said, it just sounds like a
Repetitive, yeah.
millionth copy. Yeah. So I even though I personally like the new Twin Tribes album a lot, I completely understand what you're saying. And so hopefully, there'll be more things that are more like up your alley coming out in the future too. And like more like creativity and not so much like copying. Even though like I personally don't get that from Twin Tribes, but I also probably just don't have the like huge catalog that you have to like reference. So for me
Mhm.
it's like, different. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because it's like really interesting just everyone's experience and
Yeah, I
perspective
mean,
too.
I still need to listen to the new album, so I haven't like gotten a chance to. Um, Again, I could be very biased because I'm more into like death rock and like goth rock, but also ethereal dark wave. So that like again, I'm kind of biased about that. So, and I hate to sound so dramatic, but I can't help it. But I miss the theatrics of it. I also That's another thing I miss so much. Like, and especially with dark wave, I used to love dark wave so much, but I just feel like it's more synthy. I mean, it always had elements of synths to it. And but I just feel it's like going more towards like synth pop, and I'm not really enjoying that. That's another issue like I'm having. So like yeah, like I miss like the gloominess. I miss the poetry in the lyrics. I miss the theatrics of it all. So wait, what was that? Mm,
On my internet, I'm so sorry.
no, it's
It's not
okay.
usually this bad. Yeah, hopefully all of that will come back around again because I know you made a video about like how there's like cycles and trends. So hopefully there will be more of that you're missing coming up in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. I hope so too, but again, we'll see. I think that like one of my goals on YouTube is just to show like more, especially within the goth subculture, to be more expansive in like and show like because back in the day, okay, because okay, so here's the thing. I actually a lot of my friends, even growing up, a lot of them are Gen Xers, for example. So I grew up with some of the goths that I know and I connect more is the old school goths. So a lot of them had like their own, even though they were into the same music, they still put some grit to like their personality, or like if you were to meet people, it's like you still like the same music, but you also exchange ideas. You also, and that's I think that's where like the whole um pretentiousness uh stereotype comes off, because it's like people were valued art, or they were into like other forms of music, or they knew like photographies, or they knew more obscure facts even about life, and they were also very cultured. So that's why like sometimes I have an issue like just um resonating. See, I sound so, oh my god, I feel so
Don't
I feel so
worry.
I feel
You're
so
not.
bad because I sound one, I'm sounding pretentious and I'm sounding like a gatekeeper, but
No,
I'm
no, no,
not.
no. You're actually not. You're just sounding like someone who knows what they like. And
Hmm.
I mean, like you've been in the scene for a long time, like since you were literally a kid. And LA has one of the like biggest, most profound scenes. So, as someone who's like been around and like really been in the mix, you just sound like someone who knows what you what you like, what you've seen, and hoping for that to come back around again.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I think like that's one of my one one aspect of my channel I want to show more, like aside from the goth subculture, we're both Latinx. I don't know if you identify as Latin. I'm sorry, what are your pronouns?
Thank you for asking. I'm she her.
Okay, okay. So, like being Latinx, Latinos, or Latinas, like it's especially like more on the feminine side. It's being a free thinker is very um, down upon. Being your own self is like it's not how can I say, what's the word I'm looking for? People don't, especially like in your family, they kind of dismiss you, or they think you're crazy, or they don't see you as a person sometimes because they want you to follow a specific time, like a specific, get married, have kids, um what else? Yeah, get married or have kids
Mm-hmm.
and take care of the family and so on and so forth.
Totally. I know exactly what you mean. And then when you say it's almost like you're not a person sometimes, I say that
Jasmine?
and my
Jasmine?
internet cut out again. I'm gonna try to like take myself off of my cell phone. Maybe that will help. It's so weird because I have like really good internet. So the fact that it's just deciding like, hey, right now I don't want to work. Okay, hopefully that will help. But anyway, but yeah, no, I totally feel that. I don't know like at what point I cut out, but yeah, when you said sometimes it's like you're not even a person, like that really resonated because I always say sometimes I feel like I'm an accessory in my family's life. Like I'm just an accessory in these people's lives, like not a person. You know what I mean? So that hugely resonates. So yeah, thank you for being open and sharing all of that. Like I definitely appreciate it and love hearing your experiences and your perspective. So we will go on to the next question, but first I do want to acknowledge the chat. Hello and thank you for being here today. I really am sorry about my internet. It's being extra bad today. But we have Virginia. Hello, Virginia. Thank
Hi,
you for being
Virginia.
here. Another Latina goth. Let's see. We have Christian here. Thank you for being here. Christian said, I know her from knowing Chris Araya.
Hi, Christian.
Awesome. Oh, and we have Save here first. Oh, a YouTuber. She is a reseller with amazing energy. Thank you for the super chat. That really means a lot. I appreciate you and the support. Seriously. If you're looking to get some jewelry specifically, Save here first does a lot of like jewelry sales and auctions like
Ooh,
for a really affordable price. So if you're ever looking for some interesting pieces, definitely check out Save here first channel.
I'll definitely check her out because I love you. I love jewelry.
Yes,
So
no, honestly, I'm always watching like, oh, I wish I could buy all these pieces. And then Virginia, thank you. Thank you. I know, I'm sorry. So hopefully it won't freeze so much in the second half. Awesome. Thank you all again for participating in the chat. So you share so much on your channel. So anyone watching Victoria's videos. But just as a summary, in your early days in the scene, were there any specific clubs or bands that you'd like to shout out as playing a big role in your experience at the beginning?
yeah, Cinema Strange.
Oh,
Cinema
nice.
Strange. Cinema Strange, Tragic Black, Anti World. Let's see who else. There was a band called Cemetery. Hold on. Cemetery Whispers. But it was mainly, and I've talked about it before in like in one of my videos, Cinema Strange and London After Midnight. All my friends and all the group, all the generation that we were crazy about Cinema Strange and London After Midnight.
That's awesome. That's amazing because like I'm a little I think I'm a few years older than you, but me and my friends like I was in a goth band back in the day and like me and my friends we would just like hang out and listen to music and Cinema Strange is one of the bands that we were like always listening to. So I can't imagine actually like being there and getting to go to shows and everything. That's so awesome.
Wait, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I am 34.
Oh, okay. We're just only 2 years apart. That's not
Yeah.
bad.
Just slightly older.
Yeah, no, no, no. We're about the same age, so
Yeah.
almost, yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of clubs, in my town that I grew up in, we had one uh oh oh okay, I'm still okay. We had a one goth club that opened in 1999 and it shut down in 2013. And it seems like 2013 through 2019, it seemed to be a time when a lot of venues were shutting down, even before the pandemic. So was LA impacted by that at all, or was the scene always still thriving in those years?
No, there was a lot of clubs that were closing down. I want to say um from okay, so there's a actually let me say a story. No, I wanted to say a story about this specific topic. There is I'm not going to mention her name, but there was somebody in that was very prevalent in the subculture. And although this is just more of a metaphysical and coincidental story, but there was this person that was very endeared in the subculture. She was a part of it for so long, and she ended up passing away in 2012. And she passed away because she was from a chronic illness. And I, I attended the funeral, and all these goths came to come to say their last goodbyes for her. And it was actually like a very it was a very obviously it was a very sad day, but it was just like I've never seen so many goths in my life like honoring this person's life, and she was a wonderful human being. So when 2012 hit, from 2012, I started noticing a lot of clubs were starting to shut down. If they weren't shutting down, because before it used to be weekly, so it was like from either Tuesday or Wednesday, there was at least one club night up to Sunday. Wait, no. It was from Thursday to Monday. Yeah, Thursday to Monday there was always a club going on, and I noticed that those club nights started becoming less weekly. They became monthly, and then shortly after um, they started closing down because between from 2012 to 2017, 18, a lot of there was a lot of gentrification occurring. So a lot of like the venues were being closed down because a realtor started purchasing these properties, making them into a hotel. Like even around that time, even not aside from the like goth clubs, there was this venue called House of Blues in West Hollywood. That is completely, it no longer exists, and it's now a hotel. And I think another club was another like famous venue was affected by that as well. And it was like a part of the rock and roll scene. So unfortunately, I believe it was like money got in the way, and like people got greedy. So yeah, I saw like a big effect of like clubs no longer, almost practically no longer being existent. So
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm really sorry to hear about your friend and the person that you all lost in the scene. Um, but that is interesting to hear, like that LA was actually affected too around that time. It sounds like for a variety of different reasons, but it's just weird to see that that's something that was kind of feels like it was happening like across the board in that time period. And then now, like it feels like just a few years later, there's like this kind of like explosion and resurgence again. So that's exciting, but it's just really strange that like there was this period of time where like things seem to be shutting down everywhere for different reasons. So I'm actually surprised LA was impacted. So thank you for sharing that as well.
yeah. Oh, and yeah, so the reason why I brought up my friend, because I almost felt like she almost took like the scene with her to the grave in a way. Like that's why I'm kind of that's why I brought her up. So I forgot to mention that part.
Oh,
So
yeah, no, I completely understand that. Um, but yeah, that's I'm actually surprised. I was expecting you to say no, LA was thriving the whole time. So that's definitely really sad, but also really interesting. Um, so now, oh, we could. Oh yeah, actually I already said that. I was gonna say we can skip this question, but we already know about the question. So now I know that 2020 and 2021 was oh yeah, but if you do want to skip this, we can. So just to let you know. But I know that 2020 and 2021 was really difficult. Did I freeze? I'm
Yes.
back. I'm back.
Okay.
Okay. It's like worse than ever today. Okay. But yeah, it sounds like you were in the last years of a relationship that caused a lot of trauma for you. Plus, you had that Vice interview that came out around the time of COVID that was exploding that you weren't really a fan of. Scene wise, I know most venues weren't hosting events during that time. But there was some kind of like major online events, like there was a lot of DJs streaming on Twitch. So, what was getting you through those years? Were you participating in any of the online events, or was it just like survival mode for you at that point?
So I was practically on survival mode around that time. So those my two relationships caused me a lot of heartache. Well, my first relationship with the when I was with my ex, the one that I started with this channel, that was during like the the Vice episode actually came out on 2017. And then out of nowhere in 2020 and 2022, it it became popular like out of nowhere. Yeah. So I'll talk about that first, and then I'll go on with 2020. So I actually got let go during that time um of the Vice video. I got let go of my job. And I in a way I was glad that I they let me go, because it was like a I was working as a case manager, and I was doing screenings for people who needed SSI and SSDI, and it was very depressing to hear, because I had to speak to people that I really didn't want to speak to in a way, but also there was other people that I was glad that I was able to help in some form or some way and better their lives, because I'm a very like I do like to help people. But like I said, it was draining me, and I couldn't do it no more, so they let me go. And during the process of recording the Vice episode, it like I was not myself. I was really not myself in that episode, because I just was trying to be performative, but at the same but also I was trying to be myself, but I couldn't. And they wanted a narrative of this Latina chola goth, because back around that time, like the whole cholo goth movement and prayers was getting very popular, and they wanted something like that. So I just felt like the Vice episode that I appeared in did not do me justice at all. It did help my channel just a little bit, but they didn't even show my YouTube videos that much. They also didn't mention my favorite music at all. And that is the main thing that bothered me, is that they didn't like I'm very proud of like my music knowledge, and they didn't show that at that part at all. They just I disliked it because they made it seem like I was just some ignorant Latina that is just into like dark alternative fashion, and I just hated it. And my ex was just not helping at all. Like he was helping in some form in some way, but it's a little bit, but not really. Like for example, have you seen it, by the way?
I did, and I actually I didn't think you came across as someone who didn't know like the culture at all. You definitely seem like you did. But I also like knew your channel before, and I knew that you obviously were into the subculture, so maybe that was like a biased perspective that I had. Like I don't know if that would have come across if I like didn't know your channel before, but yeah, I'm sorry that it wasn't like you felt like it didn't represent you in the way that you would want to be represented. 'Cause that's like that's like so frustrating. Such a frustrating feeling. But yeah, I did see it.
So do you remember in the beginning that like I read the hostess tarot cards? Jasmine, I think you froze again. Are you there? Okay.
I'm back. I'm so sorry. I'm
No,
back.
you're good. So me spreading like doing tarot readings is actually like that is true. I've been reading tarot for 10 plus years. But my ex always dismissed it. He thought it was a joke. He thought it was stupid. But if you see in that episode, um, he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a participating in it." And I think that's when you see, I'm like, really, like so like, but he always dismissed it. He was a proud atheist, and he just yeah, so that's why like that's one example. Like he was completely fake in my honest opinion, and he was the one that was taking more of the reins because he knows I could be very like shy, and I've never had like a camera follow me like that around that time, so um it was very intimidating. So that's why that's one of the big, so those are the reasons why I just dislike that episode.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, and I'm sorry you were dealing with all that on top of everything else in just like being in survival mode, but thankfully we made it to the other side.
Yes.
Thankfully we're not in that time anymore.
No.
But yeah, I appreciate you being open about all of that. So thank you. And I know you just got back to LA after living in New York for a little while. But it looks like even in the short time you've been back to LA, you've been able to attend some events I've seen on Instagram. So just from your experience, what is the LA scene like now? And how would you say the scene in general is compared to when you first got into the music? And I know you kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but if there's anything else you'd like to add to that.
So I know you asked me about like 2020. Do you want me to still answer that first?
Oh yeah, definitely
Mhm.
go for it if you'd like to.
Okay. So like so when I broke up with my first ex, I was with him for 10 years. I was very into this introspective journey, but I was not myself. That's when I started developing post traumatic stress. Again, it was a very tumultuous relationship. Um, so then 2019, I want to say, was the best year of my life. It was one of the best years. I was traveling a lot. I wasn't doing YouTube videos, but I was definitely traveling. I was going to road trips a lot. I was going to San Francisco. I was going to like the PCH. I was also like attending a lot of concerts left and right. Like I think that's when I saw that year I saw She Passed Away, Twin Tribes. I saw 13th Chime. Um, I forgot who else I saw, but I know I saw other bands that year. And when the pandemic hit, I didn't really know what to do. And actually, I was going to start my YouTube channel. I was going to go back. But then I met somebody and we ended up falling in love. And um, that relationship was also very tumultuous. And that one, I could say, like, I I really fell in love and I just was so heartbroken like after those 2 years. So I was like very much into survival mode because we him and I were just like we were living together and we were like just trying to survive being like with the crazy world that was going on in the pandemic. I was listening to a couple of live streams. There is this. I have a friend. His name is. Their name is Digi, and they were hosting a live stream, a Twitch stream called Catacombs. And I believe I was also listening to Sisters of Mondays. Wait,
Oh, can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you said your friend was hosting a stream called Catacombs.
Hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
that Twitch stream, they were playing like Dead Can Dance, and they were playing Support Eternus. They were playing all the jams. So like I was I like I and also the way they like presented the live stream. Oh my god, it was just so gorgeous. Like, yeah, it was gorgeous. Like, I there was purple lights in the background. There was like like fog, and they had big hair and they looked very opulent. It's again, it was that was one of my favorite like Twitch streams around that time. But yeah, I was mostly on survival mode during that time. So,
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I feel like a lot of people were during that time. Um, but I'm glad you got to enjoy some of those live streams going on. I never got into Twitch, so I wasn't really big on the live streams, but I heard everybody talking about them. So I'm glad you were able to enjoy them as well. Um, okay, so yeah, so now that you're back and we're kind of post pandemic for the most part, I guess. What has the LA scene been like compared to like when you first got into it? And again, I know you touched on that a little bit earlier, so I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add to that.
so the problem that I have with the LA scene, even when I started going to the clubs a lot, is the goth clubs specifically, not the industrial clubs. They were all 21 and over. So I used to go to Death Bunker a lot from 18 to 20. And that because that was the only club I was able to really attend during those 3 years, when I became an adult. However, there were more bands playing. There were more, even like newer bands coming up, and there was gigs. I don't know if people remember like backyard gigs. I don't even know if that's still a thing now. Um, so that I would attend those all the time. And what else? And I remember there was this club. It was my favorite night of like going to the clubs. But it's called Club Resurrection, and it was hosted by Coven 13, and it was at the El Rey. The El Rey is a theater in Miracle Mile. It's like near, like La Brea. It's like near the museums. And El Rey would attend a lot of these like major ballroom club events, and that was like one of the best nights I've ever attended, and like going to the club, because you saw everybody dressed up. Everybody, like, the music they were playing was like a variety of of songs that you normally don't hear in your like top 100 playlist. What else? And yeah, that was like one of the best club nights, that I've ever attended. But I also want to say there was a balance when I started going to the clubs, and when I started like really immersing myself into like socializing with other goths. There was more community. There was more live shows. There was even more, um, even though some of the clubs were 21 and over, like I couldn't attend Release the Bats because it was 21 and over, and it's very far from me. And that was like the prevalent death rock club that you could attend during that time. So yeah, like that that's how it was. Oh, and then we used to have kickbacks all the time. And that's how I met a lot of the friends that I know today. Um, Even though a lot of us have kind of like, we're adults, we're doing our own thing now, but we still cherish those memories, that we had. And even though we couldn't attend like a goth night, somebody would host like a kickback, and we were like kids, but like we were like 19, 20, and we were like be like drinking like Bacardi. What is that called? It's like a blue drink that's like only 12% alcohol, and we would dance like even in somebody's like little home. It was nice. And yeah, that's what I miss. That I miss the intimacy of like the friendships, and that's also one thing I do want to say, like around that time, like, um you had one friend that was really into death rock. You had the other one that was, remember like perky goth and kinder goth?
No.
No, so
Perky goth.
like they were like kind of like that's what they call it, but it's like basically somebody who's like really girly and is very much into like Switchblade Symphony and yeah. So you had one that looked like that was more their style, even though we still consider ourselves goth. We didn't have these like sub labels or but like we would kind of like their aesthetic was more like, you know, very like girly, coquette.
Yeah,
You
I
had the
know.
death rock.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So like the death rocker and then you had the romantic and the Victorian, like more Victorian inspired. So yeah, that was nice to see. And but again, even then we would like switch. Like we wouldn't always just like be in that particular outfit. Um so but now I want to say I'm trying to think because I don't really attend clubs as that much anymore. But when I do, I try to do my best to try to support the scene still. Um, the last club I went to was called Club Purgatory, and it's in downtown Los Angeles, and it was for their 8th year anniversary, and that's when I celebrated my birthday last month. That one, it's a lot of like old school goths go go there a lot. I don't really go to like other like new goth clubs like see I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to think which are the newer ones, but there's like Club Wednesday. I heard that one's really good, but I still haven't attended because it's on a weekday. Um what else? There's like one called, it's like somewhere in some, I don't really know it too much, but oh, like Breakfast Club, but I don't really go to these clubs too much because again they all fall on a weekday. So yeah, I can't really answer that too much, but I do know that, sorry, my friend's calling me, hold
No worries. No
on.
worries at all.
So it's more, I do want to say it's more open to the masses now. It's like a lot more accepting in some way. So yeah.
Nice, interesting. And then we quickly just have a few comments over here. Christian said, "COVID fucked everything up. No more perversion, malediction, bat cave, noise factory, Facroy.
Oh, Noise Factory.
Oh, factory. Okay.
That's one of the, like those clubs. They no longer exist.
Oh, yeah, that's sad. You never know. Maybe they'll come back. I feel like a lot of things are coming back. So hopefully. Hi, Sunny. Sunny's just said hello. Good morning before I start work. I will watch replay later. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Our awesome friend from Sweden. We have
Recently.
Ron Johns here. Thank you for your comments. And then last Christian said in infirmary in Orange County and candy goth. I think in reference to the perky goth thing, maybe. Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. And I totally know what you mean. Like, it's hard to compare also because like age and like what's going on in your life also plays a factor. Like, I definitely am not like going out and like partying or going to house shows. Like, now at best, I go out once a month. So I know what you mean. But thank you for sharing like what your experience has been in the past and the present as well. Um, so throughout your whole time in the scene, did you ever have periods where you fell out of the scene?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like returning to the scene? And did you have a period in your 20s when you felt like you were too old to be in the scene or to have your interests? Because that's something that a lot of people experience, but I know not everybody goes through that.
So I actually, I think in 2021, I actually had a couple of periods where I felt like that. And like, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. I don't know who's calling me.
Don't worry, something's going on
Let
with
me put my phone on
appliance.
silent.
Okay. My
Okay.
internet.
um. So I've actually had a couple of periods where I felt, especially like recently, that I've felt out of touch with the scene. I actually wanted to add on to this comment that I think now where I am in my life, like from your previous question, I don't necessarily want to attend like monthly or weekly clubs anymore. If anything, like I am more about like supporting the band, supporting the music, and that's when I will go attend like any like events going on. But I don't know if you have noticed, but like in the past couple of years when I do attend any goth nights, it's actually like I want to be more expansive in the way of going to um going to different cities, going to different states, and meeting new people from different like yeah like going to different clubs and from like in the within the U.S. going to Mexico and go and eventually like I want to go to Europe. Like I want to expand to be more of a worldly cultured experience in the subculture rather than just constantly always going to the club like weekly because it gets expensive. Like I used to spend this is what I used to do, by the way. I used to go to downtown Santee Alley. I would curate an outfit, and sometimes my outfits would be like $200 alone, like to curate them. And then on top of that, or sometimes I would go to a thrift store, and then I would, and then going to the club, I would spend $100 or $200 more. So that's why I'm doing my best not to attend the clubs because if I'm gonna go to a club, I'm gonna go all out no matter what. So your next question. I'm sorry. What was your next question again?
I forgot. Wait. I got it. I got it. We were talking about, oh yeah, like just if you ever felt like you were like too old, or if like you ever fell out of the scenes. Then you were saying like your experience, you just like kind of would transform it and go more, like expand your experience with the scene to like different cities, going global. I don't
Yes.
know.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I still feel like this. It's like sometimes I don't know what I think I've been feeling like out of touch with the subculture, like on and off these past 5 or 6 years. I am still myself. I always say this now. Goth is the subculture. Goth is a it used to be my whole life. But now it's a part of my life. And I I say that because for example, like being a goth in a house in LA in a Latino household back then it wasn't easy. It was fucking difficult. It was so difficult. Like I would be called a freak. I would get spit on. I would there was a couple girls that me and my friend we went to Hollywood and kick they were about to fight us. We were going to go in an altercation and fight, and they were going to fight us just because of the way we dressed. And that's why, even up to, but I never like let anybody try to change that's part of me. Um, However, like now though that I no longer like I now it's still a part of my life. It still like influences me on a daily basis. I still listen to the music constantly every single day. But now I the way how it is now, I kind of don't resonate with it as much anymore. Um I it goth is a youth subculture overall, but it's still like been here for 40 years. And it's I just right now I'm more focused on mysticism, alchemy, and art. As you can see in my room in the background, like, this is like, it's not all black. It's more like I like it's more art influence, especially from like the 19th century. And I just really like want to be more expansive on that in that way. So yeah, it's there was a couple times I wanted to be normal and wanted to fit in, because even finding work, it can be difficult finding work where people can take you seriously. And a lot of people, believe it or not, do not take you serious in the workforce. But I told myself, like, this year it's about my happiness. And even though I may not be making as much money as I want to, like, this is a part of me. This is who I am. I'm not, and right now I'm just taking a break, because there was a point that I was just focused on work, 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 work. So yeah, that's there was a couple times I just didn't even want to be a part of it anymore. Um, there's also a lot of bad memories I have, being a part of the scene, a part of the subculture, and unfortunately, there are a couple bad lemons in the subculture, and um, it just it kind of reminded me of those parts of my life, and I was just like, I kind of don't want to deal with this anymore. But again, just because now I think it's just because I just reverted back to my old ways. Like, I could still enjoy this subculture by attending the shows, going to the clubs once in a while, but it doesn't necessarily mean like I could, I don't know. Just like I'm basically just being myself at this point. If people think I'm a sellout, I'm a poser, whatever, that's on to them. That's not my opinion. Their opinion doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, I know who I am, and I know that it's I'm not gonna if my parents didn't stop me from being this way, why am I gonna let a stranger? Why am I gonna let the internet? Why am I gonna let anybody stop me? It's like I said, it's just a part of me now. It's not my whole life anymore.
That's awesome. And I think that that's like also healthy is like if any one thing, and not that it's bad if anyone thinks it your whole life, but I just feel like there's more balance to life when one thing isn't like consuming every part of you. But yeah, like you said, it's obviously definitely a huge part of who you are. And I also just want to say a disclaimer to anyone who might be watching, like you don't have to.
Hello, Jasmine.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back again. But I just wanted to say this disclaimer for anyone watching. Like, you don't have to go to clubs. Like, there are solitary goths. It's just about like liking the music and what your experience with that is. For some people, going to the clubs is part of the music because you go there to listen to music with other people and dance, or like going to shows. So there's just like different ways that people like enjoy and support the music. But just for anyone watching, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, like if I'm not going to the club, then I'm somehow less than, like, not at all. I definitely just like to ask these questions because LA is like obviously like such a huge scene. So I just like hearing about your experiences and perspectives. And I appreciate you sharing. And I want to say, if you ever want to come down to our goth night that we have first Friday of the month, you're more than welcome. We have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always down. I'm always down to travel. That's one thing. I'm
Yay!
always like, I love, like, I live for memories. I love experiencing. I love meeting new people. I just like I'm an introvert extrovert. So, but again, it's just like I love like going to and experiencing the goth clubs elsewhere too now. So, yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'll definitely send you information if you're like ever can make it down here. It's a drive. It's a drive, but hey, you never know.
Wait, which part of Texas are
I'm
you
like
at?
as West Texas as you can get.
Mhm.
So it's like probably 10-ish hours
Oh,
from,
okay.
yeah. It's like kind of far, but yeah, I'm as close to California as you can get and still being in Texas. So at least there's that.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that even like the San Antonio scene is like really like thriving over there.
Yes. Yeah, I just spoke with another YouTuber, Rouge the Goth. She's from East Texas, and she was saying San Antonio and Austin were like some of the best places out in East Texas. So, yeah, lots of places for us to check out in the future, for sure. Hello, Jay Z. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Is this working? Hello. I'm trying to show Jay Z's comment. Okay. Well, thank you for being here, Jay Z. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thank you for participating and thank you for the encouragement to smash the like button. Okay, awesome. So, are there any newer bands that you've gotten into that you would like to shout out?
Newer bands that I have been into is definitely Harsh Cemetery. I want to give a shout out to Mercury Butterfly. They're really good. I really like them because they are influenced by Cocktail Twins. Uh, their their songs are so dreamy. They're I think they're like near like Northern California, like near Sacramento. So if you ever people want to check them out, they're like in that area. So I know they play like live shows all the time. But yeah, it's very mystical too. Double Echo, they're not new, but you know they're like semi. They're more of a newer band. Um, Sursky is one of my favorite like newer bands for sure. Drab Majesty, obviously. Um, there's also Shrouds. They're like in death rock band too. Uh, that's what I can think of so far. So
That's a good solid list. Especially for anyone not familiar, that's like a great list to check out and get listening to. So thank you again for sharing. And then if you wanted to introduce someone to you through music taste, which bands, albums, or songs would someone have to listen to get to know you? Like what would be like the quintessential Victoria like now you know me through music? And that's kind of a hard question to answer because I know it kind of like evolves over time. But if there are ones just like for now, and it doesn't have to be a long list either. It could be as short or long as you want.
so um okay, hold on. Um so hold on. um Definitely Black Tape for a Blue Girl. That's an obvious. Black Tape for a Blue Girl, Chaos of Desire is like my favorite, one of my favorite albums of all time. Um, Lycia. Um, I don't hold on. I always forget the. I think it's called Pygmalions. Um, Sometimes I be forgetting some of the albums now. Cocktail Twins. I want to say, Bluebell Knoll is, and which other one? It's Treasures. No, wait, is it Treasures? Yeah. I've definitely have been more into like Nick Cave. So Nick Cave is one of, oh, of course. How can I forget? Um Jane's Addiction, Ritual, the Habitual. I kind of talk about them all the time, and there's actually history about Jane's Addiction. So if you want to know, I could definitely discuss about that. Um, I also want to say Slow Dive, 40 Days. No, Suvlaki, sorry. Suvlaki. Um, let's see. uh, I know I'm missing one.
That's a pretty good list. But I know the feeling. You're like, I don't want to not say this because it's so important. But don't worry, we're not gonna
uh,
be like, you never said this.
um, I know. I'm just it's lately. I've been like not like my um. I've been forgetting album names. It's so annoying. I'm like so mad at
Don't
myself for being that way. But
don't worry.
yeah,
It happens. You know, I think it's funny because like in our generation too, like you mentioned like burned CDs. I grew up with a lot of burned CDs, so like we just like find the artist, go
Jasmine, I think you broke up again.
I swear every time I start talking, it cuts out. It's like, shut
Oh
up.
no.
No, but yeah, just like long story short, just like with the burn CDs, it's like we just find an artist, download like whatever songs we could. It like wasn't from a particular album, and then you just listen to the songs and you like become familiar with the songs, but it's like, and same with Spotify now. I feel
Yeah.
like in all those things. It's like you're just listening, but like you it's like you don't get the album art and like all the names there that you become like it's just different. So, yeah, definitely.
Well, I we could definitely discuss about that part too because I have a lot to say about that. So I'm trying to think which other album like influences me and would say it's me really defines myself, but um so okay, I mentioned Slow Dive. I love Slow Dive, by the way. um there's I really love shoegaze. Like I love shoegaze and like so much. Let's see. I mentioned my C. I mentioned Black Tip for a Blue Girl. Um, Obviously London After Midnight, their first album. So that's one of my favorite albums of all time. I just can't remember it right now. I also want to say Dead Can Dance. Their self self-titled album is like one of my favorites beyond. And which other one? Support Eternus. I really love the demo album as well. The where she has all the demos um of her songs. Um that's what I can think of as of right now. But I know I have too many to think of. Too many. I know I have a lot. So
Definitely. And like I said, I know that's a hard question because like how can you really like narrow it down? But thank you. That was a great list as well. So I feel like if we made a playlist with all the bands you listed, that would be like a pretty significant playlist to share out. So thank you for that. Jay Z said, "Oh, Jay Z wants to know if you've ever played with a Ouija board."
I have not. I want to, but I have not.
I think I did once when I was really young, but I don't even remember. I don't think anything happened. It just kept saying goodbye. So we're like, okay.
Really? That's all it
Yeah.
said?
Yeah, like
What?
it just kept going to the goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. So we were like, all right, it doesn't want to talk to us, so we'll just go. Oh yeah. And Jay-Z asked who's your internet provider? Just like just
Oh
to make
no.
sure I don't go with that internet provider. Spectrum. Spectrum is my internet provider. Right. They're usually pretty good, but today given issues. But yeah, awesome. That's a great list of bands. Um so all right, getting into the YouTube stuff. You started your YouTube channel 8 years ago, which I think was still the golden era of YouTube. I see that your first video was posted on October 17th, 2015, which feels like a lifetime ago. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
very close to a decade ago, which is weird to think about. So looking back, what inspired you to start your channel?
So I think around that time I was very prevalent. Like I was still like goth was my entire life, and um, I felt like I wanted to share a lot of my knowledge, and basically like be showcase the LA goth scene, um, but also like share about my experiences as well because again, like I think like you know within our generation like it wasn't acceptable being a goth. It really wasn't, and I still have those core essence, and even now it's like I still want to my channel is going to be like it's an open space for people for not to feel alone. And even when I started, I still wanted to that was one of my goals is to people have a sense of understanding and have a sense of like belonging because I know what, like, again, when we were like in our in our youth, as teenagers, we weren't accepted, whether if it was goth or emo or metal, whatever subculture you were in, like you weren't that accepted by society. Now it's cool. And that's still kind of like, I'm still not, my brain still can't process that still. Like it's like, what the fuck, you know? Like the Kardashians, for example, put having like wearing a Slayer t-shirt, like what the fuck? So excuse my language, sorry, but
It's totally fine.
but yeah, yeah, it definitely feels, it feels strange that I've been on YouTube for 10 years, and yeah, it's not, I mean, I still think it's very prevalent. It's, but I also think now TikTok, it's like it's its competitor. But I still think there's a lot of so much more value in long form content and than short term, because short form you can only get so much information, you know? And I think that one thing I love about YouTube, and you could probably like agree with this, is that your subscribers and your community, if it's very endearing, and it also makes you feel like wow, like you have this like, you have, it's almost like a big hug, like your subscribers and your and yeah, like it just, like it's a sense of belonging, and it's nice to interact with people like that like care about you and you care about them. So, oh, I think you're mute, Jasmine. Okay. I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Okay. Yeah, that's like such a great reason to start your channel, just to kind of help other people feel like welcome and they have some place where they belong. So that's amazing. And yeah, it's awesome that you still continue to do that, and your content has transformed, but you're still like very much doing that, especially in being open about like stuff that you're going through personally, and like helping other people feel like they're not alone, like definitely. So in the first video that that you posted, you talked about so many things. Obviously, the goth subculture, but also just how you wanted to inspire others to be the best versions of themselves in general. And I'm a big fan of that, because it can be really difficult to put those kind of structures in your life into place, especially when you're dealing with unhealed wounds and traumas, which I know you've been open about as well. So I appreciate that that's been an aspect of your channel from the beginning. So, how has your channel impacted you over the years, positively or negatively? And is there anything that about life that you think would be different if you never started your channel?
I definitely feel like YouTube gave me a purpose in my life. There was a lot of many times where I didn't feel like I had no purpose in my life. I knew I wanted to do something creative, but be in the great creative field, but I just didn't know what. I didn't know what to do. Um, and I am very grateful for YouTube to provide that for me, that provide that structure and stability in my life. Um, but also, I think if I didn't have YouTube now, I would probably like, I would probably still be doing the same thing, but I just wouldn't be like recording, doing video editing or anything like that. And if anything, I'm sure you could agree upon this, but like being a YouTuber does challenge you, like, you know, to strive to um, with your artistic sensibilities. And that's what I really enjoy and appreciate about this process. I'm no longer like, you know, before back then, like, you know, I wanted my channel to blow up, and it did for a little bit, but now I'm just more like, I appreciate the journey. And that's what and I think that's where my unhealed wounds stem from. I'm very impatient, and I want things now, or I'm very hard headed. Um, but now I'm learning how to be more patient, and meditation has helped me with that, and just like practicing stillness. And so yeah, like I've been more patient with the process. I really want to be more creative with my channel more now, and that's going to be one of the changes, like is providing storytelling. So yeah, that's how I feel about life and things right now, you know. And it's hard, like putting yourself out there and having the world to know all a lot of personal things about you, because I think that's another thing that would be different. It would I wouldn't be so open. I'm at all. But the thing is, there's a lot of people in this world. You know, we're suffering from a lonely epidemic as we speak. A loneliness and depression is on the rise. All of those mental health is so important now, and I think that we don't practice stillness anymore. We don't practice, like, because we're always constantly like on our phones now. And that's a problem I have too. Like, I'm always on my phone. Yeah, like, I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not, because I am, but sometimes I have to put my phone on the side and just like really just need to have a clear mind. So yeah, I I think that's what would be different. But like I said, I do want to help people, and one of my love languages is an act of service. And you know, I don't want to bring astrology into this, but I am an Aquarius, so like my love language is like collectively like helping people. So yeah, that's where I stand about YouTube and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is amazing. And yeah, right there with you on like the mental health stuff especially. I like can't ever say enough like how important it is to talk about. So again, really appreciate the aspect of you bringing that to your channel. Because it is kind of scary. It is scary to be so open sometimes because you're like, is this too much information? Am I putting too much about myself out there? But like it's also a release and can be healing for other people too.
Hmm.
Definitely. So yeah, that's amazing. Um, so obviously a lot can change in 8 years. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts about some specifics that you shared in the first video. So you brought up that you were weightlifting. I've also gotten into weightlifting on and off over the years. It hasn't been something I've personally been able to make a habit, but recently I've been thinking maybe I should try something else. Maybe like it's actually just not something I enjoy. Um, but how was your experience with that? Is that something you ever ended up like enjoying fully? Or is there any other activities you enjoy better?
So I haven't weightlifted in quite some time. I actually want to go back into doing doing weight, like lifting weights. Right now I'm more focused on cardio, because I really want to like lose a lot of weight. So but I know like weightlifting and strength training can help with that a lot more, and so because you need to build muscle and all that stuff. But right now I'm more focused on my stamina and, excuse me, and actually trying to eat healthier, because 70%, I believe it's 70 or 75% of a healthy lifestyle is food, and 20% is exercise. So I'm really focused on trying to make better eating choices, on eating better. um, I do have PCOS, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is an endocrine disorder which causes hormonal imbalance and insulin resistance. It's similar to diabetes, but it's not. So I'm really doing my best to really nurture my body what it deserves. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But with weightlifting, it can be fun. I used to do like, I'm naturally good at squats, so that's still like never really goes away. But and also I like this other um exercise with weightlifting. It's like it's very similar to squats. I can't forget. I forgot what it's called, but it like helps with all your like your thighs, your legs, and even your core. I forgot what it's called, but it's similar to squats. So, but it's very difficult to do, and it's for some people. I really actually want to do more dancing. Like, I really want to do pole dancing and belly dancing. I really want to do stuff like that now, because I want to be a performance artist eventually. And but again, I just think right now I really am focused more on eating healthy so I could like lose weight and be the weight that I desire. No, because I feel like when I see my weight, I it's my depression. It signifies my depression, and I just don't want to have my depression weigh on me anymore, and my unhealed wounds and stuff. So because I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for being open about that. I know
Mhm.
like weight and all of that can be a very like personal and like for people a triggering and sensitive topic. So, and not everybody feels the same about it. So thank you for being open about that. I feel very similarly. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like I know I need to eat healthier, but like it's hard. Like that's like the thing I struggle with the most. Like I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I love that you said you wanted to get into dancing because that's what I've been thinking. I was like, well, I'm like not doing good. I'm like trying to weightlift, but I love dancing. Maybe I could like dance or like roller
You
skate. But then
should.
I know I don't know why I don't. Like maybe I just have to find like a studio, that's not for children. That's kind of the challenging part. But yeah, no, that's all very awesome. So thank you for sharing that. Definitely relatable. And Virginia said gym goths. Let's start, let's start a club. Jay Z has been asking some questions. Jay Z said, "Do you believe?" I mean, I believe they're all around us all the time. So,
Yeah,
Jay Z also said, "Have you ever played mailbox baseball?" I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is too.
And then last, what was your AOL screen name if you had one?
Well, did you have one, Jasmine?
I did. I made it in middle school, and I was really into. I don't know if you remember this band, the Murder Dolls, from back in the
Yes.
day.
Hmm.
Yeah, my
Hmm.
screen rum was my screen rum. My screen name was Slod Red Rum 13, which was Murder Dolls backwards with 13 at the end.
um, that was pretty clever, actually. Like doing it, writing murder dolls backwards is pretty cool. Um, Mine was okay. So I was really into die form, like around 2007. Like yeah, I was very much into die form. And there's this album that's like one of my favorite. Oh, that's probably one of my other favorite albums. It's a Paupier Mécanique, and it's like mechanical dolly. So that was my screen name, Paupier Mécanique. So and it was in French. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice. That's so fancy. Like I remember my cousin's was like supposed to be sweetie forever, but she spelled it
Mhm.
sweaty, so it was sweaty
Oh,
forever.
Slutty forever.
Yeah. Awesome. So in your first video, you also brought up Disneyland and how expensive it was 8 years ago. It's always been expensive, but from what I've heard from everyone, obviously it's gotten astronomically expensive like everything else. And that the lines have gotten worse and so many things. Do you have any personal experience or thoughts on Disneyland since then?
So I do want to say in my first video, I felt like I was very in my consumer stage. Like I was just like buying, shopping like crazy. I definitely did change. Like I'm not no longer really like thinking about being a consumerist like that often. When it comes down to Disneyland, it definitely has gotten a lot expensive. I used to have a rule before I used to when I had my pass, I would go once a year. I haven't gone to Disneyland in over 4 years. And yeah, the last time was in 2019. I personally I love Disneyland. I still would love to go, but I hate lines. I like and if anybody does want to go to Disneyland, here are my little tips. But if you're gonna go in the middle of the week. Either go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Do not go on a Thursday, do not go on a Monday, and definitely do not go on a Friday, and especially not the weekends. Tuesday and Wednesday is the best time to go, and especially if it's raining, you're good. There's going to be some rides that might be closed, but Tuesday and Wednesdays is always the best time to go because a lot of people are working um, are working within those 2 days. And yeah, it definitely has gotten a lot expensive. I don't even think passes like yearly passes are a thing anymore. I again, I still love going all the time because even when I would go quite frequently, when I had my pass, there was always something new to discover in Disneyland and in Disneyland, California. But yeah, I haven't gone. I think, like I said, I'm at a point in my life where I want to know more about the world. I want to be more expansive. I definitely want to have, I also like read a lot and I want to learn more about philosophy as well. And um, different kind of art forms as well. Um, I don't know why in my mind I've been like my mind has been like shifting on trying to learn who like more about Paul Gauguin. He's a painter in the impressionist movement. So I definitely want to be more. I want to travel more. I would rather use that money to go to I would rather use Disneyland money to go to travel. So that's where I'm at in my life. So because like Disneyland is expensive.
And Virginia also wants to know if you ever went to Disneyland for the Goth Day that they have. Oh, what is it? Is
That
it called Bats Day Out or
that's
something
it.
like that? Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've gone twice, 3 or 4 times. Wait, yeah, like about 2 to 4 times, around there. So
Oh, how fun. I
yeah.
hope that they're still doing that because I feel like they stopped, but I feel like, again, after the pandemic, everything started again. So awesome. Thank you, Virginia, for your question. Hopefully, one day you'll get to go. Um, okay, so we are actually like way past the hour, but if you want to keep going, we totally can. I just want to be respectful of your time, of
Yeah, no,
course.
sure, sure.
Okay,
Um, yeah, if you have any more questions, I'm willing to answer them. So
okay, definitely. Just a few more questions here.
mhm.
So you have had so many different and interesting videos and series on your channel, and you touched on this actually a little bit a little while ago. But now that you've been back on YouTube for the past year, what direction do you want for your channel? And you kind of did touch on that, but I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Basically what's in my head, what I'm a very visual person, and I am very, sometimes I seclude in my own world, and I basically want to bring my own world and bring it to life, and my imagination, and like build, um create like a story from like whatever I am at. Like let's say there's a subject that I want to discuss about. One of my next videos that I need to start working on, um with all the trauma I've had, it stems around men. And there was a point in my life where I just hated men. I was a man hater. I did not want nothing to do with men. But there's a there's a dichotomy from Carl Jung. He's a psychoanalyst from like 100 or 200 years ago. And basically there's the anima and the animus, and that is like two, like psychologically speaking, like we both have male and female counterparts mentally and psychologically and stuff like that. And me denying, like hating like male energy, and this is when it starts getting a little bit like spiritual and stuff, like I'm denying one aspect of myself. There's also wonderful men out there that I have encountered, and even like I'm if I hate all men, I hate my dad, I hate my brother, I hate like even my nephews. And I basically, there was a point like last year, a year and a half, where I stopped like really like being that way. Um and I think there were, again, because of the trauma I've had with a lot of men, from family members and even with relationships. I just did not want nothing to do with them. So that's one of my next upcoming videos, is talking about that. Um, so yeah, I definitely am. I want to shift my channel into discussing more about more like the feminine perspective of life. And again, it's still like the same like other subjects like goth music, makeup, beauty, but like beauty and living is so important to me now. It's like, and I think right now, and again, being living my life as romantic as possible and romanticizing my life, even though sometimes it's not always so logical to do that. But I feel that now, like, we're lacking a sense of love, and because everything is so negative around us, you know, from climate change, from politics, from everything, from cancel culture. There's not enough love and unity. And I know that sounds like very peace and love and hippie-ish, but I feel like when you add love and you put love into the world, like, you know, you could make a difference. And that's what I want to do. It's just basically in my channel bring more love and shift that, you know, and bring more harmony as well. So yeah. Oh wait, I think you're okay.
Oh. No, but that's beautiful. I really love that. So I'm definitely looking forward to your future videos. Um, and Jay-Z said that he votes to pull an all-nighter on the live.
That's funny.
Okay. Um, so you mentioned in one of your most recent videos that you hope to see more authenticity in the scene, and I think this is kind of like what we're touching on at the beginning of our conversation. Um, and it sounds like part of the lack of authenticity might be due to like trends and people just trying to like repeat trends or being on trend. So to you, what do you think would have to change about the scene or the music to make it more authentic? Like, what do you think more authenticity would look like to you?
um hmm. I think that, you know, TikTok and social media and has become a huge role in the identity of the goth subculture. And I've noticed that there's many people who, and unfortunately what I dislike now is that you have to look very extreme in your makeup to be goth or to look goth. And even in the algorithm, it favors that more than, you know, let's say that somebody who's more takes more of a minimalistic approach. um I think sometimes, again, this is probably out of the ordinary, but sometimes you have to like shut the world off and just ask yourself questions and ask yourself, like, go on a very introspective journey. And I think a lot of people do not do that often because we're so distracted. um I think the reason why, like back then, for example, people were more authentic because we didn't have so many distractions. So it's like, do people ask themselves what do they want? You know, what defines them? You know, I'm not sure if people ask, like the younger generation asks like question, like very introspective stuff about themselves. A lot of people don't even know who they are. And that's the sad part that it really saddens me. Like a lot of people, you'll be surprised, don't know who they are because they're just following trends. They're following what other people are saying, and they're not listening to themselves. They're not listening to their heart. They're not listening to their spirit. They're not listening to their intuition or their, and sometimes like your head can like play tricks on you, you know? And it's so I mean, I want to say that with like people who have, you know, with mental health. So, you know, it's, I think having grace and compassion for yourself is something that is very, that I say a lot is to people, like, because it's true. Like stop being so negative to yourself and give yourself more grace and compassion. So And I think that's why inner child healing is very important and crucial, because it's not um sometimes going into that realm, and sometimes going in that part of your life is so painful. And people are so afraid of being vulnerable too. It's like, why? Sometimes vulnerable kindness, it's a strength. It's a sense of rebellion that you're not like other people. And I think that's, if I want to say like what people like about how to be more authentic to yourself, is really dive deep. Not a lot of people don't want to dive deep. They want to be, everything is more surface level. So I hate that. So
That's so true. Definitely that resonates a lot. Like, even just like social media is just like another way to numb yourself out. Like you said, when you're like scrolling, doom scrolling, tuning in, being distracted like practically 24/7, how can you be in touch with yourself? And if you're trying to like escape from certain things instead of confronting them, it's like right there for you. Like the escape is right there. So you're so right that it's just like easier than ever to tune out from yourself. So who knows what if there'll ever be like a mass cure for that, but I think you're right, just like the personal cure for that is to like try to step away from social media if you can, to some
yeah, from time
extent.
to time,
Yeah.
it's healthy.
Mhm.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, it's very sad, because again, you and I, like, we were in a generation where we had the internet, but we were so excited to like go to the internet and go to our computer, and that was like our escape. But now it's the other way around. It's like being less on social media as an escape. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very important to give yourself love and heal your inner child. And because if you don't, you're gonna be on the self-perpetuating cycle. I've been in it. And again, it's just people are so afraid of being vulnerable, and being, loving one another and having that sense of connection. And connection is very important, and like we need it as a human race. Like we're not meant to be have this loneliness epidemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
That I've never thought of it that way. Like subconsciously I probably did, but the way you just put it, where you were like, we used to be so excited to go to our computers because it was like different and we weren't just consumed with it all the time, and now it's like the opposite. Now we need to take a break from the computer.
Mhm.
It's like that's just so weird. That's so weird that this is real life. So weird. But yeah, thank you again for sharing about, like mental health and healing the inner child work. Like that's so important. Is there anything in particular that has helped you specifically on your path to healing?
Journaling.
Oh, journaling.
Journaling has helped me out a lot. I even writing poetry, and that's probably another thing I forgot to mention. I want to bring my poetry to life. But writing poetry, writing and writing and writing has definitely helped me. Um, if anybody is on this chat and on this live chat, and they want to start journaling, I do advise that get a journal that is pretty, or that you're attracted to, because it's going to make you want to write on it more. If you're just going to blank composition book, you're just going to put it aside. So yeah, journaling has helped me out a lot. Sometimes I like to go to gardens, or go to museums, but usually with museums, there are gardens attached to the property. So, for example, like the Huntington Library, there's botanical gardens all around like the museums, and I like to go there from time to time, or I like to go to like just places that are very peaceful. And sometimes I just like to be immerse myself in nature, and really just have my mind just shut up, and just enjoy the moment. And when I'm in those, when I'm surrounded in like an environment like that, it makes me appreciate life more. And that's one of my coping mechanisms. This one I want to get rid of, but I tend to drive a lot, and I like to like go cruising and like listen to music. But I don't want to do that too often because it can get expensive. It could get pricey, and it's unnecessary. So, yeah. So those are my coping mechanisms for whenever I get anxious or start feeling depressed.
Yes, thank you for sharing that because those are also like healthy coping mechanisms, by the way. So thank you for sharing that because it's like good to hear because these are things that you kind of hear a lot, but when you hear people say like, no, like this actually works, like,
Mhm.
at least like it worked for me, it could work for you. Do you have any like specific like ways that you journal that help you? Like, do you just like free flow like what you're thinking, or do you like have prompts or like certain things that you try to like journal, like subjects that you try to journal about, or yeah.
Yes, actually, I do. I have
Okay.
to. Okay, so let me see. I could try to show you what I've done, but what I do is um, I write like like how my day is, what I'm going through, and just free flow of writing for that day. After that, um, sometimes it's just one page, or sometimes it's like 3 4 pages, and then right next to it, I either write a poem or I draw, just so I could like not lose my drawing, like how to draw, or sometimes I paint. It depends. After that, after I'm done writing like what I'm feeling for the day, sometimes I write my dreams. Some Because your dreams are actually like it's your subconscious like sending you messages. So I think balancing your subconscious and your conscious is very important too. So that's why I like to write. And then I also have one page where I put 5 positive things of the day, 5 negative things of the day, 5 improvements, and 5 things I want to improve on, and then five things I'm grateful for. So, and then I do collages, or sometimes I do affirmations. So I when I say I am a writer, I love writing. So hold on, let me see. This is like, for example, when I went to Oregon. This is like I grabbed like some of the
Oh, nice. Like the postcards and stuff?
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so I do stuff like that. um yeah, I even write like stuff. I even like write world events, so like what's going on. This one was in 2020. So yeah, this is what I mean. Like, wait, hold on, I don't know if you could see it, but like the 5 negative things, 5 positive things. So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And like had did you have to start doing it more consistently in order for it to help you, or is it kind of just when you need it? Or does it have to be like a daily or almost daily thing?
I do my best to write daily, because I it's part of my routine, and I know if I don't write daily, it's gonna I'm gonna slack off, and I don't like doing that. So yeah, I do my best to do make it a daily. I don't like to say habit. I like to say ritual. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's like very real, very like specific, and I know that that's not necessarily saying like this is the way you have to journal, but it's also helpful to hear like what actually has helped you. Like what's actually in real life, real time like helped somebody. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So we're coming to the end here, to the last question, basically. So before that, I just want to say seriously, thank you for your time. It's
Yeah,
been
no, of
really fun to
course.
connect and just like hear all of your different experiences and perspectives. So definitely much appreciated. So for the last question, what are you hoping for yourself as a person for the coming year and the future and your channel?
um, I definitely, I okay. So like I said, I've told you, like, I'm starting all over again. One thing I want to focus more is actually being more independent. And I'm hoping, like next year or later on, like I end up having my own place. That's one of the things I desire, is like having my own place, because I'm able to have more room to be more artistic. And um so that's something I'm looking forward to, because I really want to be more my creativity. And I think after like doing all this like healing, inner work, introspection, trying to transmute my pain into power, I just I definitely want to have make my art my number one priority. And let's say if I even end up being in a relationship again, like that person has to be creative or artistic or appreciate the arts in some form or some way. I cannot be with somebody that is not artistically inclined, for example. But what I'm hoping to bring more on my channel, like I said, is more of a community. I definitely want to take my subscribers and all of you guys to like different adventures. That's still not going to change. That's what I definitely want. I Let's see what else. I probably just like want to be more at peace with myself, and I know that like a lot of young girl like again like young people struggle with mental health now, and I really want to help with that. It's like I don't want kids, for example. But I know I'm like a Thea, so like I have that like I know I could be very nurturing, so I want to definitely bring that more into my channel. So like and bring that nurturing quality to my subscribers. So
That's beautiful. Definitely looking forward to all of that. And Jay Z said it's the year of Victoria. Yes. We're
oh,
putting that out to the universe
thank you, Jay Z.
for for being so open. Like honestly, it is very appreciated. Like you said, people are afraid to be vulnerable. So that's I think one of the things that I really appreciate about your channel is your openness and the fact that you're I don't want to say not afraid to be vulnerable because sometimes we're vulnerable even when we're afraid to be, but that's like all the more reason to appreciate that. So thank you for what you do. I'm definitely excited for the
Thank
future,
you.
and yeah, hopefully we get to connect again and maybe even in person if you can ever come out here, or maybe I'll go out there. Who knows? I miss California. So
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully, hopefully by then I'll have my own place, and you can come and spend.
Oh,
I wouldn't mind, like
oh, same.
having you over. So
Yeah.
and
Awesome. Well, oh, sorry, go for it. Go for it.
maybe soon I'll be interviewing you too. So
Oh my gosh, that
yeah.
I would be honored. Wow. Oh, well, thank you. And is there anything else you want to say before we say good night?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me over to your channel. I really appreciate you. I watch your videos too, and I appreciate your friendship too. You've always been so kind to me and very genuine, and I love that. I love like that's one of the things I appreciate about YouTube, is just like finding other kindred spirits too. So
Well, thank you. Definitely mutual.
mhm.
And thank you for taking the time. To anyone watching, Victoria's links are in the description, so you could definitely check out her channel if for some reason you haven't already. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you all in the near future. Good night.
Good night, Jasmine. Good night, everyone.